Hello, hello, it's Simone. Today I have a new Stuck Sketches video for you. This is the sketch and this is the finished layout. And here I am going to show you the products that I'm using. So again, that's the sketch. There is a doily in the background and you know me. I do not like doilies, but I had this Pretty Little Studio transparency in my stash. And then I also pulled papers according to the colors of the transparency. And also I wanted to use the Wild Child collection from Pink Paisley. And so I chose papers and colors that would work with that collection. And that's what I chose. I actually chose some Cocoa Daisy things, one canoe two, a pink fancy pants paper, and then this really old, I assume it's Maggie Holmes. I received it in a grab box from Paige Evans when I purchased one of her boxes back in Germany in 2014. And then I have pulled out all of the embellishments from the Wild Child collection. I have not used it, but I had it in my stash since the fall. That's really strange with me. I'll purchase things because I love them and then they sit in my stash and I'm intimidated to use them. I don't know why this is. So this sketch really helped me getting out all of this new stuff. And here are the photos that I'm going to scrapbook. It's of the Dare culmination of my oldest son. That was 2 years ago. And now let's speed up the video and start rolling. So, the sketch suggests using 2 square photos, and the way I usually do it is I measure it with my eyes and look if the squares are, if 4 of the squares would fit on the width of the paper or 3, to see how big they should be. And this was about 4 times, well, it would fit 4 times on the page, and so I decided, yep, it's about 3 by 3 because 12 divided by 4 is 3, right? I wanted to tell you one little teeny tiny thing about this video or this process. In the beginning of the year, my sister was here for a visit, and so I wasn't really able to work on my layouts and to do any scrapbook related stuff. But to get back into the swing of things when she left, the first thing I did was look at the sketches that Laura creates and provided us very early on in this term. So I knew what sketch I was going to work on, and I chose my photos and I looked through my papers and collections and embellishments and created page kits. So I pulled out all of the embellishments already, put them in plastic bags, and when I was ready to work on this sketch, I pulled it all out and just started creating, and that was so much easier than thinking about what am I going to do, what paper am I going to use. I just grabbed the bag, grab and scrap. So since my scrap stash is in my pantry right next to my kitchen, I will definitely keep on doing this, and just whenever I'm waiting for something to cook, go into my pantry and put things together that might work. I don't really like doing this just randomly, but for my design team projects, this is a really great thing to do. So if you sometimes don't have just aren't really in the mood to scrapbook, maybe just make a page kit. So what did I do? I trimmed down the transparency to replace the doily. I used the chevron paper as my banner shape because that's like, yeah, if there is a banner on the paper already, why shouldn't I use that? I didn't know how big it was going or long it was going to be. And so I decided I would just leave it sticking out there until I can commit. So I worked on the photos some more, and I decided not to back the photos together. I backed each one of them individually, and then I decided to raise the one where my son is going to get ready for his speech and raise this up some more. However, there is a lot of white space in that, or not white space, black space actually, that I don't necessarily want to focus on. So I think I'm going to add something on there, but I really have a hard time finding the right thing for that. You will see later. I had to cut out a lot of the process here because most of the time I was just sitting there, looking at the whole thing and thinking. The ephemera pack of Wild Child is very themed. There's lots of words on there, and awesome seems to be the new thing. I accidentally put on awesome twice on this spread. I don't really mind because it still works. And then I would have never guessed that I would use that tag with the astronaut on it, but it really worked well with the color scheme. Doesn't matter that there is a spaceman on there, and then that lion, again, it doesn't really work with the topic. It's not, well, no, now that I think of it, actually there is a lion in the Dare program, but it's called Darren. But that's not what I was thinking about when I chose it. I just liked the way it stood up there. It nestled or stood on the top there, and you saw me faff around with this a bit. I wanted the lion to stand on top of something, and then there was this really strange gap because the tag was going to be on the further right, and that really looked strange. So I looked for something that I could tuck behind both of those embellishments to bridge the gap somehow. And I didn't really find anything in there. So I just decided to trace the tag and use some of my patterned paper. And this speech bubble there that says "you are totally," this was awesome. I thought first that I was going to add that to the top of the photo, but then I really liked it better up there. And so I did. Then I worked with the Maggie Holmes stuff. Again, I don't really know if it is Maggie Holmes. And I am trying to find something to go on that photo. That is, I think I spent at least 20 minutes looking for the right embellishment for there. And as you can see, nothing really works. There is one speech bubble that I like, and I'm going to pull that one out and leave it there. But then I find this to be too small. I want it to be a little bit bigger. And again, for me, it's very important for me in my design process that embellishments touch, or that there is some kind of connection in between them. And this bubble did not get all the way up to the yellow chipboard, and so it just felt like it dangled there. Then I tried to cut down the chevron paper and make some arrows. Didn't work, so I decided, well, I'm just going to work on my title now. And I chose these. Those are older, don't really know, maybe 2016 Amy Tangerine puffy stickers, and I really liked the color of them. They helped bring some color to the bottom of the page. And then again, I wanted to have some kind of embellishment down here. It is also suggested in the sketch that there is something, and even though the pink of the camera doesn't really go with the red of the rest of the layout, it was a bit smaller than the yellow camera, and somehow it worked better. So now I have a pink camera on this layout, and no other pinks there. But for me, it works. So going to commit to this. I'm not really sure yet where exactly, so I'm going to work on something else. And I had the idea suddenly. I don't know. That's a great thing. So I usually, when I'm not sure about something, I'm just going to leave it and let it sit for a while and work on something else instead. And while I was working on that, I had the idea that this paper also has some kind of chevron. And if I just cut out some of those triangles, that would really work and bring the layout together. And it actually really did. I added the chevron underneath the sticker, and now I'm just using some foam to bring the stickers that I chose from the sticker sheet up to the same level as the camera. And as you can see, I decided to put the camera on straight. There is no need for it to be at an angle, and it really helps ground or use the title as a grounding element for the whole layout. And then I decide to actually really use a frame and use this Fancy Pants paper from the Dream Big collection to match my layout with. However, just a teeny tiny tip for you, if you have already created your layout, you cannot put glue on the back because it's bumpy. So I put my glue on this paper. I did not cut it. I have so much paper. I don't need to cut this paper. I don't have any plans for it right now, and it helps just stabilize the whole shebang. And especially if you saw my last video for Stuck Sketches, where I actually did cut the paper and used mixed media. Especially when using mixed media, it's quite helpful to have a complete whole piece of background paper, because it might end up buckling even more when you try to add it onto the mat later on. So I journaled, and now you can see me. I'm adding the date. I just looked in my computer. When I print photos, I just leave them in my favorites, and when I journal about them or I scrapbook them, I just look in my favorites, look for the photo, look for the date, add the date to the page, and then I just unfavorite them again. And yeah, that's an easy tip for you if you need help with dating your photos. And I decide to make this layout go in a diagonal. It already suggested the diagonal design with the pink camera on the bottom and the very red die cut on the top left. And so I used the stars to make that diagonal more obvious. And yeah, even after I stopped filming, I still kept on moving the stars and finding the right perfect place for them. And then I decided I would just stop. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch and like, subscribe to my channel, and comment on my videos. I love doing this. And yeah, here are some close-ups. I love the texture of this, and this was my very first process video after my knee injury. So love how it turned out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Until then, there is a couple of more videos on screen right now. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!